Good morning to everyone. It's a great joy for me this morning to present the program of our international conference, Saving Our Common Home and the Future of Life on Earth. You already have the printed program, and one strategy we try to follow in organizing this conference is to make the entire conference very ecological. So you have just the basic information in the booklet. The rest you can find the bios and the other details in the conference website, laudato-c-conference.com. And one thing you won't find in the program sheet, in the program booklet, is that we had planned a Eucharist tomorrow morning, a Laudato Si Mass. But then, as some of you know, since we had to anticipate the papal audience, the Mass, we'll have a Mass on Saturday evening, a Laudato Si Mass for those who will remain still in Rome, who are welcome to join us, organized by the Global Catholic Climate Movement. Garden Trastevere, via San Francesco, Salis, number 18. Now I come to my job. I would like to present to you briefly 4 things, not repeat the program. Present to you the spirit of the conference, the strategy, the methodology, and finally the main objectives of the conference. Let's begin with the spirit of the conference, which is a response to the invitation of Laudato Si to rebuild a home which is falling into ruin. As Pope Francis points out in the encyclical, we need only take a frank look at the facts to see that our common home is falling into serious disrepair. And this is the element that I would like to stress. It may not be an exaggeration to say that Bergoglio is a Francis whom God has raised up to rebuild a home which is falling into ruin. Let's go back to 8 centuries behind. The other Francis, Saint Francis of Assisi, whom, as we know, one day in 1205 walks into the chapel of San Damiano, which was in very bad shape, and he is there before the crucifix. And the crucified Lord tells him 3 times, not just once, Francesco, va e ripara la mia casa. Francis, go and repair my home. So he gets his friends, they begin to rebuild this church. But then soon, as his own biographer, Bonaventure, says in his biography, Francis' biography, that the house that the Lord wanted him to rebuild was the entire church. And thanks to the renovation of the church took place. And thanks to the Franciscan movement based on poverty, simplicity, humility, and universal love, the church was indeed rebuilt. Let's go to 8 centuries later, 2013, on 13th of March, there comes another Francis onto the scene. And Pope Francis also appears to have received the same command from the Lord. Francis, go and repair our home. This in Italian is one of the most beautiful slides I've ever come across. Francesco va e ripara la nostra casa. And see the difference. It's not just the crucified Lord. Along with the crucified Lord is the indigenous chief, the sparrow, the polar bear, the hen, everyone telling Pope Francis, the rabbit also, telling Pope Francis, go and repair our home. And this is the spirit of the conference. To respond to the invitation of the Lord to rebuild together, I insist on that word, together our common home. So that's the spirit of our conference. Let's go to the strategy we have adopted to realize this conference, which is precisely one of dialogue and partnership. One word you will hear it over and over again is to create, that we need to create a vast movement of people from below. I personally think for too long we have left the question of the care of our common home in the hands of big people. We need them, heads of states, politicians, and unfortunately we know that not much has been accomplished. And we think that it's time to create a vast movement of people from below. And I quote for Francis, Laudato Si, number 14. I urgently appeal then for a new dialogue about how we are shaping the future of our planet. We need a conversation which includes everyone. all of us can cooperate as instruments of God for the care of creation, each according to his or her own culture, experience, involvements, and talents. And I conclude this section thinking of Gandhi. I come from India, and I think Gandhi, the Gandhi of today is Pope Francis, a very tall, moral, religious leader, and we can rally behind him to rebuild our common home. And the third point is the methodology we have adopted for this conference is the very same of the encyclical See, Judge, Act. Where are we? Listening to the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor, especially from the perspectives of the victims of the crisis, from the underside of history. And the three parallel sessions will follow this methodology, the one in which we are. This afternoon, the final one, where do we want to go? Discerning the crisis of our common home from various perspectives, theological, ethical, economic, financial, political, and many others. And how do we get there? Acting together to save our common. Don't worry about that. Okay. And the plenary and the parallel sessions are built around this methodology. And the last point is about the objectives of the conference. And allow me to spend a couple of minutes here. We really hope that the conference can really produce concrete and participatory lines of action, best practices, and as Vatican, we hope we can lead by example. These are our four ambitions, four objectives for the conference. Raise ambition for the 1.5 guardrail. We have the San Francisco meeting coming up, and especially the COP24 in Katowice, and we hope this conference can be a catalyst for that. A second objective, transition towards a circular economy, as Laudato Si wants. So we want transfer of investment and finance, the economy to move. The third objective, greater involvement of faith communities, and especially the season of creation from 1st of September to 4th of October. And the fourth objective, to create a people's movement, and where we put two groups at the center. The young people, because it's their future, they can lead us, and they are creative, they can lead the way. At the same time, we want to listen to the wisdom of indigenous communities, because they are the original inhabitants of our sacred land. And we want to sit at their feet at this conference and later, and start this vast movement of people of all groups, religions, and social affiliation. And I conclude on a personal note, the very last word from me. 2 weeks ago, I was in Warsaw attending a conference with young people towards COP24. And on the eve of the conference, there was a dinner with some of these young people, Global Catholic Climate Movement, Caritas Polska. And a young girl, she's present here, Magdi by name. She asked me a point-blank question. Father Josh, do you believe that we can achieve the 1.5 degree limit? I blinked for a moment, because even with the Paris climate deal, with all the commitments, and we know not everyone is going to respect these commitments, we are going towards 2.6 degrees, they say. And experts say we are walking towards a 3-degree scenario, which is going to be disastrous. But then there was an urge from within. I said, Magdi, we can. Because the home that we are trying to save is the home of the Lord. It's the work of the Spirit. It's not our work. The Lord will guide us. The same Spirit that hovered over the waters at the beginning of creation, Genesis 1:3. The same Spirit that came over Mary at the incarnation, the new creation. The same Spirit that came over the apostles at the Pentecost. And we are in the Synod Hall where the bishops meet. And the same Spirit can guide us. And let's be inspired. Let's allow the Spirit to guide us. May the same Spirit of God guide us in our conference to save our common home and the future of life on earth. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.